Kyiv facing a massive wave of Russian missile and drone strikes. City officials say at least 13 locations around Kyiv have been hit, including residential areas, in what has been now an hours-long attack. Right now, people still sheltering below ground as sirens sound above. So far, at least 8 people have been reported injured. The timing of this attack is notable, given that President Trump spoke to Russian President Vladimir Putin earlier today.
We had a call. It was a pretty long call. We talked about a lot of things, including Iran. And we also talked about, as you know, the war with Ukraine. And I'm not happy about that.
Do you feel like you made any progress?
No, I didn't make any progress with him today at all.
Joining me now, my intelligence and military sources, Beth Sanner, former Deputy Director of National Intelligence, and retired U.S. Air Force Colonel Cedric Slayton. So, Beth Sanner, U.S. President has a conversation with Vladimir Putin today, and hours later, Russia launches a quite sizable strike on Ukraine. Is that a message to the U.S. President, or at a minimum, is it at least defying U.S. pressure?
Yes, and it's a consistent pressure. I mean, if you look back, and I have, along with Cedric here, if you look back at every time that he said, stop Vladimir, or made a call, he strikes. Putin strikes again within the next day. I mean, the worst thing, I get why this administration wants to keep the dialogue open, but Putin responds every time with a finger.
Right.
And at some point, I mean, if I were in Ukraine, I'd be like, stop calling President Putin because it rains missiles down on us.
I mean, it's fair that you mentioned Ukraine because President Trump has been willing to apply pressure to Ukraine that he's not been willing to apply to Russia, who, by the way, is the aggressor, invaded Ukraine. And again, just in the last several days, we understand that the U.S. is now pausing weapons shipments, specifically air defense missiles, which are quite necessary tonight over Kyiv. That imbalance, does that make sense strategically?
No, it does not, Jim. And, I think one of the key things here is that the only thing that Putin would understand is force in return for force. In other words, what really needs to happen is the exact opposite of what's doing. We need to speed up the shipment of weapons. We need to speed up the delivery of Patriot missile batteries to Ukraine and make it very clear to the Russians that they have no chance of beating Ukraine. That would have to be the way to do this.
But you have been saying that. U.S. Democratic and Republican lawmakers have been saying that. Leaders of our closest European allies have been saying that for months and years. And Trump, whether he's hearing the message or not, we don't know, but he's not acting on that message. Is it past time now for Ukraine and its European allies to say we cannot rely on the U.S. for this kind of support?
Well, look, Trump has been giving a 2-week deadline since April 24th.
Right.
And it's been a moving deadline. I think we've given enough time. The question is, what is he going to do? What the Europeans can do and Ukraine can do, they are. But there are limits.
Right.
Because they're not producing air defense missiles. They don't have Patriots that they can churn out. I think that the intelligence relationship is going to stay. It's cheap. DOD doesn't control it. But I think that in terms of air defenses and HIMARS and some things that are exquisitely and only the United States, this is a problem. They at least have to accept the idea at the White House that the Europeans can fund and buy this equipment for Ukraine. And that's kind of the only way that people are thinking there's a way out here.
And they seem to believe that's a way to appeal to the president, right? Because it would be business for U.S. defense contractors. Yeah. What the president says, and he said it again today, and it seems to be the reason why the DOD is conducting a review of these weapon supplies, is that U.S. supplies are short. Is that true?
In part it is. And one of the problems that we have is the defense industrial base. Now, there has been a movement to ramp up the production of artillery shells, especially the 155 millimeter variety.
Yeah, but that's long past now. We're talking about defense, air defense systems.
Now, and what they really need to do is make sure that the Patriots get there. There were weapon systems in Poland that were ready to deliver to Ukraine that were stopped. And that is really unacceptable for this situation.
They were right across the border. And you can imagine, I wonder if some of them might have been flying in the air tonight, right?
Exactly.
Cedric Slayton, Beth Sanner, thanks so much to both of you. Well, after days of arm twisting,